I want to deal with them first. Let's begin with that. Let's begin with the salary requirement, okay? So this question, the question number 3, focuses on what to do when an employer is paying me less salary than required. Okay, first deal with that general thing, and then we can talk about a couple of other things that stem from that. So under the H-1B regulations, the employer is required to pay you a certain amount. Now, how that amount is calculated and ultimately computed is a little complicated, but keeping in mind, let's say just the simple process that let's say there's a wage X that you're supposed to be paid, but the employer is paying you less than X. What are the consequences? Is this legal, illegal? What do you do about it? Well, first of all, when you are getting paid less than your H-1B required wage, and I won't get into that, what required wage is, that's complicated. But let's say we understand what the required wage is. In this case, SHA 1212 does. He knows what the wage is. Can it be argued that you are out of status because you're getting paid less? Well, it can be argued, but it's not your fault. You are there for the duty. You are working your hours, and they are not paying you. What do you do to protect yourself, and what are the consequences of them doing it? Actually, that's a silly thing for any employer to do. Why? Because the wage and hour division, remember this agency, the wage and hour division of the US Department of Labor, if you Google them and just say LCA complaint, wage and hour division, DOL, I think it's the form WH4 that shows up. If you file that complaint against the employer, the Department of Labor will go in and get your money for you. Not only that, if you transfer to another employer and you have filed such a complaint, it is a great protection for you against any violation of status assertions by the USCIS, because you are available, you tried to work, the employer basically messed up your payments, and you are not at fault. So that kind of a situation, a complaint helps. The employer is also required not only to pay the wages, they are required to pay them in proportional installments on the periodic basis they use. So if the employer pays on a weekly basis or a monthly basis or bi-weekly basis, whatever they choose, they just can't change it. If they are paying everybody on a monthly basis, they are supposed to pay you on a monthly basis as well. And these are pretty much equal installments. They can be more, but they can't be less than what would be required. So not only is the employer required to pay you the wage, they are also required to pay you in appropriate installments. They can't just say, we will pay you 10 months this much and the last 2 months we'll cover it. Exceptional circumstances, it can happen. For example, we had a client who had a miscalculation. Neither the employer nor the employee noticed that the employee was about $6,000 short of the payment. It wasn't intentionally done. It was a mistake. So at the end of the year, we asked them to just make it up, and that should be okay. Mistakes can happen, but when an employer deliberately underpays and doesn't pay equal installments, they can be investigated and your money would be recovered. And it also protects you if you file a complaint against such an employer as you are leaving or after you leave. Your money is safe. It's going to come back to you. Okay. So the question here is, my H-1B was approved in November last year. They started deducting my taxes, but they haven't started giving me my salary. So that's a very dangerous thing for them to do. You can definitely complain to the Department of Labor, wage and hour division. Do I need any document from my employer in writing saying they'll pay me at the end as bonus? Yeah, if they give it to you, I don't think they will. What if I want to go stamping? You won't get stamping with this kind of a history unless you file a complaint. I would suggest you move over to another employer. Can I switch jobs? Yes. Switch jobs, file a complaint when you switch jobs. And if the USCIS comes back and says, well, you weren't paid, and the answer is, it's not my fault. I was doing my work. You should be okay. My current employer also filed H for my wife. For my wife, it's pending with the USCIS. Do I have to file H4 again? This is complicated. I actually always like to file H4 again, even though it's not required. I don't think it is required. But I like to do it anyway, because when the old employer revokes the H1 when you are gone, sometimes the H4 can get messed up along with it. It's just so much easier to just file it again. Okay. Yes, so I already covered question number 5 and 6. The Department of Labor Wage and Hour Division is going to get your money back for you. In fact, employers who do stuff like this get into some major trouble, because that shows that they're probably doing it routinely. And if they are doing it routinely, their company is in a heck of a lot of trouble. Okay. *5. Press *5 if you have a follow-up question on this discussion. Nothing new. *5 if you have a follow-up question on this discussion. Okay.